there's something nobody tells you about healing. It doesn't always feel like healing. Sometimes it feels like breaking. Sometimes it feels like losing control. Sometimes it feels like going backwards. Sometimes it feels like you're getting worse, not better. And that confusion can make you question everything. Like, why am I still hurting? Why is this taking so long? Why does healing feel so heavy? Why does it feel like I'm falling apart instead of being restored? But here's the truth. Healing often feels like breaking before it feels like rebuilding. Because healing requires honesty. Healing requires unlearning. Healing requires facing things that you've been avoiding. Healing requires letting go of the things that you've held on to for years. Healing requires God touching places you've kept hidden. And that process is uncomfortable. It's vulnerable, it's messy, and it can be slow. So today we're going to talk about why healing feels the way that it does, and why that the discomfort doesn't always mean you're failing. Thank you for listening to me here on Faith Between the Lines, and I'm Scott. Healing often brings things to the surface. When God begins to heal you, He doesn't start with the surface. He starts with the roots. And when the roots are touched, old pains rise, old memories rise, old patterns rise, old fears rise. It feels like the things were getting worse, but really, they were just coming into the light. You can't heal what you won't face. And God loves you too much to let the hidden wounds stay buried. Healing brings things up so God can bring them out. Healing also requires letting go. Letting go is one of the hardest parts of any kind of healing. Letting go of your old identities. Letting go of your old coping mechanisms. Letting go of old relationships. Letting go of the old ways of thinking. Letting go of the version of yourself that you built to survive. And letting go can feel like a loss, but really it's not. It's clearing space. Space for peace, space for truth, space for new habits, space for a healthier relationship, space for a person you're becoming. Letting go hurts, I know, because you're releasing what was once protecting you. But God is replacing it with what will heal you. Healing can oftentimes be slow, but God is gentle. God doesn't rush your healing because He's gentle with your heart. He knows what you can handle. He knows when you're ready for it. He knows the pace that won't break you, so He heals you slowly, layer by layer, wound by wound, lie by lie, fear by fear. Slow healing isn't punishment. Slow healing is protection. God is not tearing you open. He's carefully stitching you back together again. Oftentimes, healing can feel like a weakness, but truthfully, it is strength. You cry more. You feel more. You need more rest. You need more grace. You need more support. You need more patience with yourself. But that's not a weakness. That is strength. And it takes strength to feel. It takes strength to face the truth. Big time. It takes strength to break old patterns. It takes strength to let God touch the places you've been avoiding. It takes strength to keep going. When heavy healing feels heavy, you're not weak. You are brave. As a reflection of this episode, I wrote a poem for it called The Work Beneath the Surface. I thought healing meant rising, a clean upward climb, a quick kind of a fixing, a neat little line. But healing was deeper, a slow sacred art. It started by touching the cracks of my heart. I brought things to the surface that I wanted to hide, old wounds that I had buried, old fears pushed aside. I felt like unraveling, like losing my hold. But God whispered softly, I'm making you whole. Healing felt heavy, like breaking apart, But piece after piece, he rebuilt my heart. Not rushed, not reckless, but gentle and true. A work in the shadows only God knew. So if healing feels painful, don't count it a loss. It's the weight of your freedom. It's the shape of your cross. If you're healing right now, like so many of us are, it's proof that God hasn't given up on you. If God had given up on you, you wouldn't feel the pull to grow. You would not feel the conviction. You wouldn't feel the discomfort. You wouldn't feel the stirring in your spirit that says, there's more for you than this. Healing is evidence that God is still working in you. He hasn't walked away. He hasn't lost patience, and he hasn't changed his mind. You're not being broken. You are being remade. Healing is happening deep, deep in the shade and deep, deep in your soul. My closing blessing for this episode is simply this. May you find peace in the slow, sacred work God is doing in you. May you trust the process, even if it feels heavy, even if it looks messy. May courage rise in your heart and the old wounds come into the light. And may you remember this truth. Healing doesn't always feel like healing, but God is restoring you in ways you cannot yet see, but will. I want to thank you for joining me here on this episode of Faith Between the Lines. And I hope I met you right where you are. You being here in this space matters, where your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. They can be left on YouTube or on Buzzsprout. Before I close, I want to take a moment to honor the families and the men and the women of our military. Those who serve, those who have served, and those who stand behind them with quiet strength. Your sacrifice, your courage, and your commitment to this great country do not go unnoticed. May God bless you, protect you, and surround your families with peace and gratitude for all you give. And always remember this, you are never walking alone. We'll see you here next time.